Tom Loudon joining me now. As always, exciting stuff. We see the teams. The fans are starting to book their trips here. Exciting stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk more about it. Another ticket window open today. We'll talk more about that later. But Friday was a lot of excitement. There's months and months of waiting. Who's coming here? Who's coming here? We had a chance to go out to the big draw party at Stateside that Meg Kane's team drew at Stateside Live. There's hundreds of fans out there representing all different countries, and it was a lot of fun to see where the groups really fell. We actually also had the opportunity, along with Anthony Gargano, to give away 2 tickets to the World Cup. Joe Samuel from Fairmount was out there with his wife just as a fan, and he walked away with 2 tickets, which we explained to him is like the golden ticket. So, you know, they're hard to come by. So it's a lot. It's great to know who's coming, because then the plans really seem like they're coming into play.
And we're going to break down a little bit, like you said, the tickets. There was a big deadline today, or actually a ticket window opening. How can you get tickets? We'll fill you in a little bit. Obviously, a lot to talk to today. We'll get about what this means for the U.S. team's draw in a few minutes, but let's get to what our next guest lives and breathes. He writes soccer, managing editor for Philadelphia Soccer Now. Matthew Ralph, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Thanks for having me. What an exciting time to be in Philadelphia and to be a soccer fan.
Yeah, this is the reason why we created this show. What are the matchups you're looking forward to most coming in June?
Well, number one, I mean, watching the draw, looking for, you know, any kind of who's the local connection. We knew the U.S. team wasn't going to be here, unfortunately, and not going to be in this time zone, unfortunately, unless they advance, which we hope they do. The most exciting game is the Brazil-Haiti game, and first and foremost, as a Union fan, Danley Jean-Jacques representing Haiti, such an exciting player. I mean, he's someone who came in midway through 2 seasons ago. Last season, just really blossomed as a central midfielder. You know, losing Jose Martinez, you didn't know what we had in terms of the 6 role, and him and Lukic were just dynamic and just outstanding all year. So really excited that we're going to have a current player for the Union representing his country in Philadelphia, and that's really, really exciting. Also super excited about Curacao. They were here before at the link, and you know, who's Curacao when they're in the Gold Cup, and now they're back, and they're the smallest nation to ever qualify. And I mean, what a great story, right? Just to see that and to see the fans that are going to be coming, I think is really exciting. But yeah, definitely Danley Jean-Jacques. We're Union fans that have to be so excited about that, and just excited to see him. But then also to learn about these other squads. You know, Cote d'Ivoire will be here for 2 games, and to see that. And I've seen Ecuador play up at what used to be Red Bull Arena in New Jersey, and just seeing that fan base out there, you know, many years ago. So it's just excited to see all the fans coming, and Brazil, you know, the history of Brazil, and then France, obviously a 2-time World Cup winner. So it'll be interesting to see who fills in that other side of the match with France, but really just excited about the diversity of the teams and the styles of play and the players. And certainly, you know, we wish there was a Union player on every team, but the fact that we have one is really, really exciting.
Great local storyline.
Absolutely.
So you talk about the players, and you know, people here will learn more and more about them. One of the biggest stars coming here for France is Mbappe. His numbers are unbelievable. He's like 25 years old. He has 400 goals. He's already won a World Cup. Talk a little bit about him, and if you're speaking to a casual fan, a Philadelphia sports fan, like how big of a star is he compared maybe to other sports and athletes that we know?
Well, I think I have a 10-year-old son, and you know, his friends they're obsessed with Mbappe because they play with him in their video game, right? Like whether they can sit through a game or not, he's the embodiment of video game soccer, because it just he has every tool in his toolbox, and just such an exciting player. And like you said, he's had so much success. And you know, you're always reminded World Cup cycles how soccer really is a young man's game,
right?
And how you see, you know, Lamine Yamal, you know, coming up, you know, his performance in the Euro as a teenager, and you saw how Mbappe just so dominant as a young player, and now he's really kind of reaching into that point in his career where, you know, he's there, like he's been this promising star, and he's just shining as bright as possible. So I think from a fan perspective, just, you know, for the kids who are lucky enough to get in there, I don't know if my son will be one of those lucky kids, but to be around the game and to recognize those names on jerseys, and then to be able to connect that to the game and to see them play and to see that they're in Philadelphia is just, it's something that, you know, as a young person in 1994, you just don't forget it. You always you remember the names. You remember, Valderrama and the Colombian team, and you remember all these teams that were in New Jersey at the time, not Philadelphia. But it just forms those core memories as a young person, as a fan, as someone who plays and who watches the game. And so I think having those stars and seeing that iconic yellow jersey and blue shorts for the Brazil team. I mean, so much history there. The kid, you play with Pele in your video game, and you know that history. And I think those big stars, that's what really I think attracts the kids. We see a lot of Messi jerseys around for that reason, but that's what makes it fun. And I think for parents for dads like myself to be able to connect with our kids, and they recognize that those are the names. Like I can get into the nuance of, their goalkeeper was really the one who won them that game in the final, but they're the ones, they see those stars, and they're the ones they want to emulate in the backyard. And they're, hey Dad, I did this Mbappe move in the backyard, and they're super excited about it. And I think that's really what makes it fun, because it connects all the generations of fans across the sport and across the world.
What about the casual fan? There's a lot of people here who might be exposed to the game through the Philadelphia Union. They maybe look at it from a different lens. What is the World Cup going to bring to the casual soccer fan here in Philly?
I think it's interesting. I've had a lot of conversations since the World Cup was awarded to the U.S. and Mexico and Canada. And it's really interesting when you try to talk about Union, people are like, they don't want to hear about the Union, but there's so much more of an opening to the World Cup because of players like Mbappe, because of Messi, because of the connection between what are the games that are on the Premier League, La Liga, to the global game. And I think people who maybe have been, for whatever reason, have snubbed their nose at college soccer, at high school soccer, at club soccer, at the Union, it's the biggest event in the world, and it's impossible to miss it. And there's certainly going to be people who are, I'm ready for this to be over. They might not be happy about hotel rates or other things that are going to be skyrocketing, but I do think it's going to surprise a lot of people in terms of just how massive a sport is. And I think you saw that last summer. People were like, wow, these are club teams from around the world, and we're seeing just
those fans were crazy.
Yes. And you're going to see that on, you think Flamengo fans are crazy. Well, Flamengo and every other Brazil fan is going to be here for Brazil. So that's I think is probably, I've been saying for years, people don't know what to expect. We didn't know what to expect in '94, and it was overwhelming. Right. It's going to be even bigger than that.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Stick with us. We want to dive into the U.S. men's team. Do they have a shot? What does success for them look like? Don't go away. We got more soccer talk coming back. Brotherly Love F.C. 2 minutes away. Welcome back to Brotherly Love F.C. Here's a look at the United States draw for the World Cup. U.S. hitting Paraguay on June 12th. Out in L.A., unfortunately, we are not going to see them here in Philly. On June 19th, Australia afternoon game in Seattle. And then the winner of, who was that, Turkey? I don't even know those. We'll get into that on June 25th. USA coach talked about the importance of being a host country and the importance of home fans.
That we need your energy, your support, and I think the fans are there in behind to the team, and I think it's going to be exciting because I think we are building a very good relationship. I think we start to show that we are USA. That is the culture here. About to win, about to fight and never give up.
All right, we are back with Matt Ralph from PhiladelphiaSoccerNow.com to talk about Team USA. Matt, big picture, what's your confidence level in this team?
Well, it's hard to know, right? It's nerve-wracking to think about. I mean, I think the popular opinion has been that their draw was favorable, but their draw was always going to be more favorable just because of the expansion of the teams. And certainly you like their chances, but they're playing at home. but there's also, not knowing what their form's going to be. There's a lot of question marks around it, but I definitely need to advance out of the group. You got Paraguay, you got Australia. You're going to have a tough team that gets through that playoff. So I think definitely the minimum expectation is to advance out of your group, because you're one of the hosts, so you need to have that. So I expect to see that, and I think the momentum that carries over from that, I think, is going to be hard to deny them. It's just a matter of, in the games, how the ball falls, and how the game of soccer is a cruel sport. But I do have high expectations, and I think you can't underestimate the value of playing on your home soil and what that's going to do for this team, and what it means for these players to represent their country at home on home soil.
So you cover soccer in this area. How surprised or not surprised are you to see the leap that Matt Freese has taken? He's in line probably to be the #1 goalie for this team. He's Episcopal kid, played for Penn Fusion, ended up going to the Union, had to move on, obviously, because he was blocked by Andre Blake. But now, they had him out at Times Square for the draw as like one of the main players. It's a local kid who's probably going to be the starting keeper.
Yeah, it's been incredible to watch, but also not surprising. Matt is someone, like you mentioned, who went to high school not far from where I live at Episcopal Academy, and he was someone who he was very highly rated as a goalkeeper. And as a goalkeeper, it's hard to really, until they get to those teenage years, it's really hard to tell in terms of how they project. And for a long time we thought Zach Steffen, another local guy, was going to be in line, and he's just made such tremendous strides. And I think his move to NYCFC, while it was difficult, it's still a little bit challenging to see him playing for New York, because we love him. He's our local guy. I think it's been an incredible move for him, and I think he's really just taken the opportunity, and he's done what he does. When he would come in and play, everybody knew that he was a starting caliber goalkeeper and beyond in MLS, and I think it just was a matter of him having the opportunity and getting the opportunity, and he got the opportunity in the U.S., and he hasn't relinquished it. And so I think it's really exciting, we don't love Matt beating the Union in the playoffs, as New York City did, but wish him nothing but the best, and are so excited. And I feel like because he is a local guy, it's just really thrilling to see where he's come and how quickly he's risen. He's still a very young. It feels like last year he was still playing at Episcopal Academy, and actually would sometimes play in the field, because they had another future pro in Adrian Marcucci, who plays for Red Bulls, on the squad at the time. So yeah, it's really exciting to see that. But then also just the whole group of potential U.S. team players, like Brendan Aronson, who's really made strides this season, played amazingly off the bench against Liverpool the other day. Mark McKenzie, Austin Trusty. There's so many of these guys who, I remember watching them play when they were young at YSC and Wayne, and seeing how they've progressed, and seeing that they're very real opportunities for them to make the squad as well. But definitely Freese feels like the lock at this point. Feels like the one we're going to see starting the first couple games, and can't be more excited and more happy for him.
You say getting out of the group might be the benchmark of some semblance of success. What does the team need to do to compete against some of these top tier teams?
Well, I think identity is always such a key piece.
Which is
that's, I think, finding that identity and finding, we've seen the good and the bad so far from the Pochettino era, and I think we're in a good spot right now. You saw the result against Paraguay, which they're going to have to replicate again, playing Paraguay again. But we've also seen the disappointment, and I think fans of USMNT are a little bit like Philly fans, a little bit like Philly Union fans, where you try not to get too excited because you don't want to feel too disappointed when it doesn't go off. But there's definitely no reason to not be as excited as ever before for this team. If you see the progression of where this team has been, and the horrible scenes of crashing out of World Cup qualifying, and seeing Christian Pulisic, obviously another Pennsylvania guy, on the field just in complete disbelief. You still talk to Ali Bedoya about that night. Just horrible scenes. You see from that to where the program has come, And it's exciting just to think about the possibility, but also recognizing, again, that these games are the biggest games that these players will play in their careers. And, you're proud of them no matter what.
So you mentioned Pulisic. He's had an interesting career. There's lots been expected of him. It's kind of been a bit of a roller coaster, but it seems like in the last year or two, over with his club teams, things have really taken off. Like, what expectation levels should there be for him going into this?
Well, yeah, I mean, the move to Serie A proved to be the move that he needed. I mean, we talked about Freeze moving to NYC. Sometimes it's that change of scenery. It's that system that changes. And, I think we are going to be as successful as Christian can carry this team, right? There's certainly a lot more. There are a lot of important players around him, but in order for him to be in the form that he's capable of, I think is going to be critical for the team. And again, the Pennsylvania roots that he has. His dad was the soccer coach where I went to college, and it's exciting to sort of see the storylines of players like him and to see how our development system in this country has grown to the point where we're putting players of his caliber into clubs like, historic clubs like AC Milan. But certainly I think he is going to be a key player, and there's a number of them across the pitch that are going to be super important in the World Cup.
Last question for you. What is one storyline you're looking to follow, maybe others should be following leading up to the World Cup?
Well, I'm super excited about Philadelphia, about the stuff that's happening around the games and the things. I was telling my son, I don't know about tickets. We're not sure. The prices are beyond my budget. But in terms of just going to JFK and just meeting the fans and seeing just the cultures that come here to Philadelphia, it's going to be an amazing year for Philadelphia. And I'm so excited that the World Cup is part of that. The 250th. We have multiple other events, PGA, All-Star Game, all of that. So I'm just really excited to see just what all these fans from around the world bring to our city and how our city will forever be remembered as one of these host cities and the legacy that's left behind. Hopefully that is that the game has grown and that we've supported more young people in wanting to play the game, and the positives that come out of that are ones we talk about for a long time. But man, what an opportunity to be a host city and for people to see, oh yeah, you got Philly, you're from Philly, oh you guys hosted the World Cup, like yes we did,
yeah.
And it was amazing.
That's great. Hey, Matt, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Hope you come back sometime. Appreciate it. Hey, be sure to check out PhiladelphiaSoccerNow.com. All soccer news on all levels in the area. You really got it covered. Don't go away. Brotherly Love F.C. is not done yet. Tom Sredenschek on deck. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Brotherly Love FC. If you're still hoping to get World Cup tickets, your chance started today, your next chance. You can enter the latest ticket lottery now through January 13th. Go to FIFA.com. This phase allows you to just apply for single game tickets for specific matches, including the 6 games here in Philly. Winners will be randomly selected and notified after January 13th. And already we know that website is just overwhelmed. Tom, you said, what, 30 minutes just
I went
to
on
get
there
on?
earlier. It was wait for about 10 minutes, then to put a 30-minute clock on, and then you go in to try to log in and register your name.
They're going to be the hot ticket. Joining us, Tom Sredenschek. First time on the big show.
This is an honor and a privilege to talk a little soccer.
We've been trying to get you.
Well,
this is the 13th episode.
You
and
think
we've
it's
been
tough to get tickets? Look at my schedule.
I
to get
can
on the
imagine.
Show. Okay, Chris and Tom, but what a pleasure. And I mean, the countdown really is underway.
Tom, you've covered tons of major events, Super Bowls, Stanley Cups, World Series, everything. Have you ever covered a World Cup?
I have not covered a World Cup. I remember we went to New York in '94 when the matches were played up at the old Giant Stadium in the Meadowlands. But I think what makes this so big is, and as you mentioned, I've had the privilege of covering, World Series games, NFC Championship games, Super Bowls. I think this is the cumulative effect. The fact that we're dealing with 6 different matches over this period. And each one of them is going to take over the city. They're going to be each one is kind of a mini Super Bowl. And the fact you get done one, and there's another one coming, and there's another one coming, I think that is what adds to the lure. It's quantity and it's quality.
Yeah, you talk to the people from FIFA locally, they're like, hey, it's 6 Super Bowls coming here. I've had the privilege of going to a few Super Bowls with you. If you're talk to somebody here in Philly who is not, what can they expect that's coming to town? And a Super Bowl equivalent coming to town?
As I said, every one of them will be separate, but it's going to be the anticipation and the hype. You guys watched as the Super Bowl, and you've been there as well, that you get there Sunday and it just grows and it grows and it builds. Every one of these matches will grow day by day. And that was the cool thing in the Super Bowl. You start on Radio Row Monday and there's nobody there. By Friday, it's its own city. And this city will feel that. They will feel, as these countries, they move out of Philadelphia after a match. Okay, and the next wave of fans come in, and they will have that same fervor and the same buzz. And every match will mean a little bit more. If you've lost your first 2, if you had a loss and a draw, the effect that it's going to have on you to win will only add to that hype and anticipation. We saw it with the club matches that were here a couple of months ago.
It was amazing.
It was amazing. And these matches, I don't want to say this, didn't have the same significance. The number of Chelsea fans that were walking through Old City, that's one pocket, one club. Add an entire country to a city, and every match in its importance will grow. You mentioned, the opportunity to cover these things. My first Super Bowl was in 1997 in New Orleans. To see what it was then compared to what it was last year in New Orleans, and security is a big part of that, and the heightened sense of the magnitude of the event. It's huge.
And the same goes with the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is 3.5 hours, the game, but there's so much more around it. I think Philly is one of the cities where there's going to be something going on, an official event every single day, whether there's a game or not.
Correct.
This is going to make a long-lasting impact on the city.
No question, and I think the city will get it right, but it's a stamp. It's a signature moment for this city and its history. And you guys have mentioned we've had big events here. We've had, some people don't consider it the sport of all sports, but WrestleMania has taken over this city for a week. We've had NFC Championship games. We've had baseball All-Star games. The last one here was 1996, and I had the privilege of covering it. To cover an All-Star game now compared to what it was then, and to compare what we saw in 1994 when we covered the World Cup up in New York to where it is now, it's staggering.
When you see the growth of those different events, how about the sport? Now, you've been in for a long time where nobody would even mention soccer.
Correct.
But now it's to the point where the union matter. You can argue what level, but they matter. And how much more of an impact do you think this will have in the long-term growth of this sport?
No question. It's huge. And, and again, I mentioned the city's got to get it right, and I think they will. But this is an opportunity to grow a whole fan base. Soccer fans will be born as a result of what happens for 6 matches this summer. And, people, I want to see the ratings. I want to see, the interest in Philadelphia. Well, suddenly on an off day, there's a match in Seattle. There's a match in Los Angeles. There's a match in Canada. I want to see those numbers go with it. Fans suddenly realize this sport's pretty cool. Let's see how it does on off days here in Philadelphia, what happens to the TV ratings as fans are born because of this event.
Got a minute left. Real quick, I just want to get to Philly most likely will be a home base for one of the teams, correct? Can you just explain that real quick?
Yeah, so basically all the teams now have brochures from all the home bases across the country, and they get to pick. And the home base here is based out of Subaru Park. They have all the training facilities there, and the hotel is in downtown Wilmington. So a team probably will. It may even not be a team that's one of these that's coming here. It might be a team that's based more in New York, but it's most likely a team in the East Coast. And that's why, the U.S. will be based out west. But there is a home base here. And I believe they were talking about there's one out. I don't know if it's Penn State was in the thing, but I don't know if they had.
I don't think they will.
No.
But, I just had relatives in from North Carolina. Charlotte's a home site. They said Greensboro University right there is going to be one of the home sites. And they can't wait down there. Imagine how much more in a city like Philadelphia.
Good stuff.